Yes people, so we're out again, and I don't know if you remember in the last video I did how to pass your mod 1 test, right? Today's video is going to be how to pass your mod 2 test, so all the things that you're going to go through and basically just step by step how to pass really. It's a fairly simple test. You just go out on the road for about 40 to 50 minutes. The guy, your examiner person, is going to be riding behind you. You're going to have a little intercom piece on, and he's going to tell you where to turn, what to do, and you just basically follow his instructions. Just ride how you've been taught to, in a safe manner, and you should pass. So basically I'm going to go through what it's going to be like. I don't know any test routes really, so I'm just going to ride around and go through a few little pointers and do like a few little manoeuvres that they might ask you to do, and you're going to get asked a couple of questions at the start before you even get on your bike, just like to point things out. For example, show where you'd check your oil, or how would you know that your tyres are safe to use on the road before going on a ride, and how would you check to make sure all your lights are working, all that sort of stuff. So let's just get into it. Right, so I'm just going to use this car park as an example of you're exiting your test centre, your instructor's told you to turn right, so you're going to look. This is really awkward actually. Let me lift this up because I'm fogging up. I didn't realise how awkward this would actually be. Right, so you've done your shoulder checks, you've done your mirror checks, and your instructor's going to want you to reach the speed limit basically as fast as you feel comfortable doing. So they want to see that you're confident on the machine that you're on. So for example, when I come from this to here that I'm in, and I go through to this national, if it's still a national, I think it is, yeah it is. When I go from this to here to this national, they're going to want you to be able to get up to speed properly. They want to see that you're confident on the bike that you're on. Well, that were a pointless national, wasn't it? But you gotta also keep an eye on your speed, because obviously you don't want to go too far over the speed limit. So it's fairly simple. They're going to take you through a whole different, all like the different types of roads that you can think of. They'll take you through busy roads, roundabouts, country roads like this that I'm about to go down, just places that like let them see that you're confident in what you're doing, how you're riding. And they say to check your mirrors like every 10 seconds, because something in the road could change. So you just move your head down and have a look in your mirrors just to show the examiner that you are looking. You don't have to massively over exaggerate it, but it's nice to just make it known that you are looking in your mirrors, so then the examiner can see that that's what you're doing. You're observing the road and what's around you, and it gives them a bit of peace of mind that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. And also, if they tell you to turn right and you forget you turn left, it's not a massive issue. The invigilator, whatever you call them, examiner, that's the word I'm looking for. The examiner will just take you a different way. They're not going to like tell you to pull in and have a go at you. You're not going to fail your test for it. Because I took a few wrong turns, I can't lie. But they'll just take you a different way. They'll figure something out. It's not a massive issue if you do go the wrong way. So before you're about to set off, like after this car, mirror, mirror, shoulder, and then you go. You need to like show that you are doing your shoulder checks. It's just like when you did your Mod 1 test, you got to show that you're doing your shoulder checks, just so the examiner knows that you know what you're doing. And a lot of these checks tend to just go straight out the window once you've passed, but you just got to do what they want you to do, and then once you've passed, you can figure out your own riding style, figure out how you want to ride. But your test does fly by really fast, because you think, oh, an hour's a really long time, but when you're riding, you're having a bit of fun. It just goes in the blink of an eye. The geezer's taking you back to the test centre, getting you sat down in the chair and telling you whether or not you've passed or failed. But you want to get up to speed as quick as possible, because like I said earlier, they like to see it. Because when I did my first set of lessons for the Mod 2, I was really nervous, just like full on punch it and go straight to the speed limit as fast as possible. But the instructor just said to me, they want to see that you can control it. They want to see that you can get to the speed limit as fast as possible, so then you can show you're confident as well. And randomly they will tell you to just pull in or do some form of maneuver. I had just pull into left twice, so I will show you like that sort of stuff too. When I find a safe enough road, which is what they do, I'll just pull into the left, set off again, and Bob's your uncle. What you're going to want to do is, as the lights start to turn orange, you're going to do your shoulder checks and then be ready to set off. Shoulder check again, and then you're ready to set off. And then you can turn down here. Oh, I've got a right itch on my nose. That's not good, is it? I can't lie, I'm just sort of making up my own test route as I go along. What you're going to want to do when you come to a stop is keep your foot on the back brake. So that's your right foot on the back brake, left foot to the floor, keep it in gear 1, just so you're ready to set off when the lights do turn green. Because you don't want to be fannying about putting your gears on, then putting your back brake on, so then you can set off properly. But every time before you set off, you've got to do your checks. Once you pass your test, you can just absolutely scrap that off if you want to. Just not do your checks at all. But during your test, you need to be doing your shoulder checks, your lifesavers, checking in your mirrors, and just make it somewhat obvious that you are looking in your mirrors, because it's just easier, isn't it, doing it like that. We're coming up to a roundabout now, and as you're exiting your roundabouts, you want to do a lifesaver check over your left shoulder, just to make sure nothing's coming from like the inside, like, I don't know, push bike or whatever. It could be anything, but they just want you to make sure that there's nothing that could be blocking your path or whatever. So you do your lifesaver on over your left shoulder. And what I'll do at the end as well is I'll go over all the questions that you're going to get asked. Well, that you could possibly get asked. I think they only ask like one or two or three maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll go through all of them. There's 10 that they could ask you, I believe. But I'll go through them, explain them, and it might just help you out a little bit. If that truck's going, I'm going. And if you're pulling out and pulling back in, I'd do a lifesaver then as well, just to be sure that there's like no one there, I guess. But if you've been riding for a while, I'm sure you'll know the main things that they want you to do. And it's all just normal riding. You're just gonna ride like you normally ride, just add these few extra things in to make your examiner happy. For example, your lifesavers, all that, your mirror checks, all these fine little things that people tend to forget quite a lot. Thank you. So just round here we're gonna pull up on the left when it's safe to do so. I think this is really the only one that they can ask you to do, to be honest. I don't think there's really... Oh, you're just gonna go, yeah, sound. I'm going to turn left up here, check my mirrors, make sure it's all safe to go, and then I'm going to turn. We'll take you around all sorts of different types of roads, busy ones, quiet ones, back roads, national roads, all that. And I'm going to pull up on the right when it's safe, so I can pull up on the right here, because you've got to make sure that it's not too far from a junction. Well, I mean, you're not too close to a junction. And then you're gonna head check, mirror, head check, cancel your indicator, head check again, and then you're ready to go. It's as simple as that. And then you get straight back up to the speed limit again. If I'm being honest, I ain't got a clue where I am. So I'm gonna turn this way. I'm gonna turn leftwards, because that seems like a pretty good place to turn. And then that is pretty much it. You're gonna get told, you're basically just gonna get told where to go. And the examiner will just be riding behind you. It is quite scary, I must admit, because I was a little bit nervous seeing a massive blue and yellow bike behind me. Or it's black and yellow, I can't remember. White and yellow, it's one of them colours. But you see a massive bike following you, it is quite daunting, I'd say. But after a while you kind of just forget, really. You're just like, oh yeah, it's that geezer, innit? And then you'll do that for 40-50 minutes, and then you'll just be riding back to the test centre. It's really not difficult at all, and I mean I've explained it in the simplest way I possibly can, but it genuinely is just as simple as that. You're riding round for 50 minutes. I want to pull in here. Are you going to let me? After this car I can go. I'm just going to pull up in here and explain to you all the questions that you're going to get asked. So I'm just going to Google them now, because I can't remember them off the top of my head, and we'll go through them. Right, so I've decided to move to a little bit of a better spot. I'm just looking now, and there is 13 questions. So they're called Show Me Tell Me questions. Let's just go through a couple of them just so you've got an idea, and I'll put a link in the description to the website that I'm on. It's the DVLA website. All of the questions and answers are on there, so you can just go through them over and over again, just so then they're solidly in your head for when you're doing your test, because you could get any of these questions. Identify where you check the engine oil, and tell me how you would check the engine oil has sufficient oil. So you'd go down to your little oil dipstick thing. You'd untwist this. So on my bike it'd be different to other bikes. I'd unscrew this, and to check that there's sufficient oil, it's got to be either below the max line and above the minimum line. So that'll be that'd show them that there's enough oil in there. Tell me how you would check that the lights or reflectors are clean and working. So that's a tell me question, so you don't have to like walk around, you can just tell the examiner that. Explanation only. Operate switch, turn on ignition if necessary, identify reflectors and check visually of cleanliness and operation. So you'd go down to your reflectors, so I don't know if you can see, but reflector there's one on the other side as well, and imagine that there's some on the back as well. But you'd go around there, you'd make sure that they're all working. What you'd do is you'd turn your ignition on, turn your lights on, make sure all them are working, and that's just exactly how you do it. Let's get another show me question. Show me what checks you would make on the steering movement before using the machine. Handlebars would be free to move smoothly from left to right on full lock without any control cables being stretched or trapped or pinched. So I'm going to show you now. Moving completely fine, nothing's trapping it, nothing's getting pinched. So that's how you check that your steering's all good. Show me how you check the operation of the engine cutout switch. So you turn your bike on, flick this switch here. If your bike turns off, then bosh, it's an engine cut off switch, so your engine will just cut out and if that's not working, then your engine won't cut out. Last one, show me how you'd switch your headlights from dip to main beam. So on here, you'd just press this button here, bosh, so that's dipped beam, where it's pointing downwards. Where it's pointing straight, that's main beam. So it's basically just as simple as that. These are fairly simple questions. As I said, I'll leave the link down in the description so you can go through them yourself and just have a read through, just so you know what's going on. And I would recommend going through them and just getting them in your head, so you know all of them off by heart, because it all depends on which questions your examiner really wants to ask you. They could ask you really simple ones, or they could ask you the more in detailed ones. So it's just best to know them all off by heart, so then you know, and then you don't get tripped up during your test. Maybe I didn't want to start then. Just so you know during your test that you can answer these questions. Just like my silly ass didn't I didn't remember the questions correctly, so I got a rider fault on my test, and that's the only rider fault that I actually got, and it were really, really stupid. I was annoyed at myself, but it is what it is. It will basically the tyres. How would you check to make sure that they're all good and roadworthy, pretty much? But you need to just make sure that they're in your head, just so you know when it comes to your test that you're all good. And that kind of wraps it up, really. So the main points of that you need to be considering a lot during your test is mirror checks approximately every 10 to 15 seconds, shoulder checks, so your lifesavers, make sure you're doing your lifesavers on roundabouts, turn-ins, whenever you need to use them just before you set off, all that. Make sure you're using your indicators, because a lot of people seem to forget to use their indicators. Make sure you're using them. Stick to the speed limit, obviously, that's a pretty obvious one, and make sure you get into the speed limit like at a reasonable pace. You don't want to be going from 30 to 60 over like a fairly long period of time. You want to just fly straight up there, have a bit of fun. The examiner's not going to complain that you're accelerating way too quick, because that's what they want to see. They want to see that you can control it and all that. So they're sort of like the main points, and if you get all them locked down, then I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that you're going to pass your test if you do all them things correctly. So if you found this video useful, hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Good luck on your test.